Welcome to another Lived Experiences chat on the Equity Podcast. Join me and guest Dr. Lulu on this latest episode as we explore Dr. Lulu's experience parenting her Black transgender child, best ways to show strong allyship to your LGBTQ plus loved ones, and improving the healthcare landscape for better rapport between queer patients and their healthcare providers. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Equity Podcast. I am so happy to be speaking with the incredible Dr. Lulu today. Welcome.
Hi there. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Doing excellent. Very busy. I'm in my first week back into third year of medical school. So a lot has been going on. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm good. I got a dog yesterday. I adopted a dog. Well, I'm fostering a dog since yesterday, so that's going to be interesting with my
Oh,
adopted
that's so
son.
cute. What type of dog?
So he is a boxer mixed with British Bulldog or Bull Mastiff
Wow.
or something. So we don't know. The owners took him to the pet hotel and gave the fake number, fake email, and left. So I went to get an aquarium, and they were talking about this dog that they're going to take to the pound on Friday. And I was like, for real? And they were like, yes. I had just put my dog to sleep, not even 2 years ago. So I was like, oh God, poor dog. Anyway, cut a long story short, one of my adopted gay sons and I were doing our coaching the other day, and I told him about it. I was like, oh, please, let's keep it. I was like, have you even seen the dog yet? So I went to
Right.
see the dog yesterday. I mean, I've seen the dog, we went to see the dog yesterday. We don't even have, I picked the name today, but we haven't really decided on a name yet. And so I brought him home because my kid is going out of town today. So we're just going to kind of try and see if we like it. I've had dogs my whole life. He's never had a dog before. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. So now that we're here, we're going to settle into this amazing conversation on a couple of your efforts. Particularly, I really want to talk about today, you being the parent of a trans child and being an author of the book about your Black transgender child, as well as getting into a few of your initiatives discussing being an advocate for LGBTQ people and motivating physicians and other healthcare providers to become allies. So I'm going to read your bio. Dr. Lulu is a queer, Nigerian-born pediatrician, educator, coach, corporate consultant, and CEO of Dr. Lulu's Coaching and Consulting Lounge. She is the mother of three, two sons, and a transgender young adult, and works to educate families, healthcare providers, and non-medical organizations on accepting, affirming, and supporting their LGBTQ plus children, patients, and employees. As a corporate consultant, she helps organizations install systems and create spaces that support parents of LGBTQ plus kids at the workplace. Dr. Lulu recently expanded her services to include gender and sexuality coaching after seeing the huge need to advocate for adult LGBTQ plus persons caught at the crossroads of living authentically and the intense homophobia of the outside world. She is an author of seven books, including these upcoming titles, eight, now eight, about your Black transgender child, which I just said, and Invited In, How to Become the Parent Your LGBTQ plus child needs, both dropping winter soon. She is also working on a notebook for physicians and other healthcare providers, LGBTQ plus basics for physicians, becoming allies in white coats. She has been featured locally, nationally, and internationally, including on CBS This Morning, interviewed by Oprah Winfrey for her work on LGBTQ plus parents and youth advocacy. She is a multi-award-winning DEIB advocate, LGBTQ plus, and youth suicide prevention activist. Dr. Lulu was named an influential woman of color in Texas and was a finalist for the 2023 Rising Star Award by the San Antonio, Texas Committee. Find Dr. Lulu on social media on Instagram at Dr. Lulu Talk Radio or Facebook Momatrician. Her websites are drlulu.com and allybridgeconnection.com. And I might even edit that last part towards the very end because I want people to connect with you. But from what I've read, you've done so much. And I think it's incredible, like your reach. And you're still continuing. You have the book that you just showed me. Can you show that book again to the camera? There we go.
It's
Yeah.
thick.
Yeah. It's a sizable book.
It's a textbook actually at a couple of the medical schools here, and it's I think we're in the 700s of pages.
Mm-hmm.
It's four something physical pages and seven something on the ebook. So it's about 470 physical book and about seven something for the ebook. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm happy. I think listening to that bio is probably not as current as I thought it was, but that's okay. We'll make all the changes and just keep it moving.
So you go by the momatrician too.
The
So
momatrician, yes, it's mom and pediatrician together. So
it,
that's my
it,
registered trademark.
yes, yes. Oh, you trademarked it?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Once, I think that was about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, another pediatrician said, "Oh, I like this. I would like to use it." I said, "No, you won't." And so I trademarked it back like that day.
you know what?
And
That
Dr.
is a
Lulu is
good idea.
also a registered trademark. I was so surprised. My ex-boyfriend and I were like, "Wait, Dr. Lulu is available?" He was available. So I own both trademarks. And Mama Beast, as a matter of fact. I own three of them.
Mama Beast, Mama Beast. So
Mhm.
I think that, and you, and I'm gonna get into it in a second, maybe like 20 minutes, really, you know. But you also are part of the Moms for Trans Kids podcast. Now, is that what you started?
Yeah, no, I own I'm the chief hostess, if we may go by gendered terms. I'm the chief hostess of the Moms for Trans Kids. And we go Moms, the number 4 Trans Kids podcast. And we came, I think there were 5 of us at one time, and now we're down to 2. And the 2 of us now are Black. And yeah, we are on a hiatus because once the administration changed hands in November, half of our guests just don't have the bandwidth because they're all moms of trans kids trying to just breathe. But
Yeah.
this weekend, I think we're going to come for a cameo because a friend of mine we're booked into December, I think. But someone is coming in today and he's neither a mom nor a trans kid, but he's an amazing ally. So, and I mean, this week. So I think we'll probably do a little cameo this week. And otherwise, I'm just going to wait for people to just find their center again. It's been pretty tough. Even my co-hostess, her trans son, just the whole passport thing, it took forever. He never went to get it. And now
Yeah.
he has the wrong gender on his passport. So, I mean, it's just, so even she has no bandwidth. And I'm just like, that's fine. The podcast was good while it lasted. If that's all we're going to get out of it, which is about 15 months, that's good. And if we get more, great. If we don't, that's fine too. But yeah, but that was my initiative.
That's incredible. And what you've kind of already said about how the administrative change in the United States we're talking right now has resulted in the dismantling, right, of programs, initiatives centered on diversity, equity, and inclusion. In particular, people are feeling disheartened. People are scared to participate in events or even be a part of groups that emphasize identities that have been marginalized.
Yeah.
So, one of my questions was, I mean,
Right.
this is a difficult time. How are you supporting yourself or the people you're around who are telling you, right? Oh, my child is not able to get this gender marker corrected. And maybe they don't know exactly like the right thing to say or how to even support an LGBTQ plus loved one during this time. What would you say to that?
Honestly, I just tell them what I tell everyone else. You have to pick your battles. I mean, I cannot control a directive from wherever, whoever is doing executive orders. That's not a problem that I signed up to solve.
Yeah.
My thing is giving you the information when it comes to affirming your child. That's it. And affirming your child looks 300 ways to 300 people. Your child may not want to be worried about gender markers. The average 4-year-old is just as trans as the average 44-year-old, right? They are
Yeah.
all trans. One of the things I mentioned in the book, the quote on the outside of the book is, every trans adult was once a trans child hiding in plain sight. I want you to affirm the 2-year-old, affirm the 4-year-old. Passport may not be their problem. I'm a pediatrician. So I stop at 21, remember? So, I mean, let's face it. A 9-year-old is just as trans as a 90-year-old. What I tell the parents is the same thing I'm going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
How can you affirm the kid in front of you? There'll be some battles that you just have to wait until administrations change. And I told that to a group of parents I was talking to recently. I don't have answers more than you do. No, I don't. But is your child going to bed every night saying, my mom's got my back? That's the question you need to answer for yourself. There are some questions that I cannot answer, and I'm not going to bother answering. I don't have the bandwidth for that. I'm not going to live long enough to change America and its systems. Those things predate me. I am Nigerian. I have other problems to worry about. But
Mm-hmm.
because I live in America, yes, of course, I'm not going to pretend that I'm not seeing what's happening. I voted for Kamala Harris. She went to Howard. I went to Howard. HU all the way home. However, when it comes to an executive order, I'm not an attorney. I don't make laws. What I do is make sure that people can ask their children, how would you like me to show up for you? The trans
Right.
kid knows what they want. And so putting it, all these other things, yeah, it's good for conversation. But at the end of the day, what I say in the book is your child knows you first before they know the legislature.
Yep.
I was my child's first bully way before any legislature. Because I was like, you know what? You can paint your nails, but when Nana is here, don't paint your nails. That is not the right thing to say. Now, that has nothing to do with legislation. That was
Yeah.
probably doing Obama stuff, who was as affirming as it gets. So
Mm-hmm.
I want people to recognize that there are many, many battles, many, many fires. The most important fire is the one that your child wants you to quench. So by asking your child, how can I affirm you? How can I make you feel seen, heard, supported? You have 100% A plus in my book. And that to me, you can ask your question is valid, but ask it to the right person. This here mom, who is just as queer as ever, is not
Mm-hmm.
going to try to answer every question. I mean, I had an event that I was the guest speaker. I was the only Black person in the room, about 50 something white folks. And I was like, this is another episode of Get Out. That said, I went there to go and deliver a message. And one of the
Wow.
questions I was asked was something similar to yours. Well, what can we do when our children, our trans kids want to play sports in school and the school doesn't allow them? I said, do what Black folks have always done. Build your own team. And let me tell you, one of the parents didn't like it. She left the room and I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Peace out on your way out. But here's what we've always done. We've always
Mm-hmm.
created our own spaces. Your child truly at 7 doesn't really care where they play ball. Yes, they do, but not as much as you do. They just want to play ball. And so if you find 6 other kids who want to play ball with your kid, that's a team. If you find 10 other kids who want to play ball with your kids, that's a team. Even those people who taught the Bible all day. In the Bible, Jesus said, said to his disciples when he was leaving, he said, when you go to a new town, if they welcome you, bring all your friends. And if they do
Mm-hmm.
not welcome you, dust the feet from your shoes and go. He didn't say stay and see, oh, please, can you accept? No, there's not enough time and too much to do. And so I said to them, I said, you're asking a Nigerian woman how to solve a white people problem in Decatur, Georgia. And I'll tell you what I'll tell other Nigerians. Build your own fucking team. That's all I have. Now, my answer may not be pleasing to you, but that's my answer till I die. Because I'm a Black
Mm-hmm.
woman, quintessentially one, and I'm an immigrant for that matter. So what do you want me to tell you? This is not a trick question. Truly, what do they want me to tell them? I said, you can take my answer or you cannot. But this is my answer because that's what I'll tell another Black person. If
Right.
people
You
don't
said
want
it
you to
best.
do something, ma'am, go have your own party. Write your own book. There was no book like
Mm-hmm.
this. There's no book like this in existence. That's why I
Mm.
wrote it. So I am someone who does things
Period.
like that. So, and
Period.
as luck will have it, the next day or 2 days later, I saw on Instagram, Dwayne Wade is starting a basketball thing for queer kids. Black person creating a safe space for Black queer kids. That's what we do. I don't know if it was Black kids or not, it doesn't matter. But if you're just creating a basketball team or making it possible for trans basketball kids that want to play basketball to
Mm-hmm.
have a space to play. That's what I'm talking about. When they ask you not to go, you don't say, woe is me. You might say, woe is me for 2 seconds and then you regroup right away. What can we do so our kids still feel
You recruit.
what I meant by
Right.
saying there are some questions that make sense, but don't ask it to me because at this moment in my life, that's not the fire I want to quench. The fire I want to quench is the 4-year-old who says, Mom, I'm not a girl. Or Mom, I'm not a boy. And you're like, shut up. You are a boy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. Or the 8-year-old who says, Mom, I don't want to wear this to school. And you're like, you must wear it. That's what I'm talking about, affirming that way. Or the 12-year-old who says, Mom, can I bring my friend home? He's trans and his parents are messy. And you're like, don't bring that mess in here. And the question I ask people is, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do you think
Mm-hmm.
your child is friendly with trans kids because they're trans? Or do you think trans kids welcome your child because they're trans? In other words, 9 times out of 10 in today's world, no one wants to mess with trans kids. So if someone sees your child and welcomes them, 9 times out of 10, they are also in that group. And that's water finds its level. And so if
Mm-hmm.
your child says, Mom, can I bring Tyrese home? Tyrese is trans. Start asking yourself, I wonder why my kid is friendly with trans people. Maybe your kid sees themselves in trans people. Maybe they're just really kind hearted, which means you've raised a great kid, right? But rather than saying, don't bring that mess here, which a lot of parents say, rather than asking yourself, I wonder why? What if hiding in plain sight? That was my kid hiding.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe the kid is gay. And I didn't want gay. I was like, God, I don't want gay. So the first thing in the book is a poem I talked about titled, Why Not You? And God, I don't want gay. And God was like, I wish gay was the problem. You know, like, as in, if you think gay is the problem, I wish that was all. Like, Mikey's got more. And my kid is not called Mikey, but I use Mikey in my talks. Mikey's got
Yeah.
more to tell you, right? I wish you would just sit down, take several seats, and lean into what's coming. Because gay is like not. And so I want parents to be who are like me, who are on the fence or who are maybe not even on the fence, but say, oh, I don't know what to do, to just raise the kid in front of you. 9 times out of 10, trans kids just want dinner. They want to go to bed. They have a bowel movement. They take a bath. There's nothing extra they want, except if they choose to. That's when the choice comes in. They might want to transition or they might not, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to transition to be trans. You can be trans because it's a gender identity, is a self-affirming situation. You say to yourself because you know you that you are trans. And then I talk about Next Benedict. The day Next Benedict said, I'm going to tell other people that I'm trans, they became endangered species. And today, Next is not with us because people are messy. And so while, like I said, the basic needs are the same, your job is to ask your kiddo, how would you like me to support you?
Mm-hmm.
And be honest about it, because that's when the child now says, Mom, you know what? I've been thinking about a haircut. Great. Do you have a barber? What kind of style do you want? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what, Mom? I want to experiment with clothing. Fantastic. Would you like to go to Goodwill or would you like to go to TJ Maxx? I don't know, whatever, as opposed to no child of mine. That's the difference. So
Exactly.
your question, coming back to your original question, while it's an important question, Let your child tell you first. Is that even something that they are thinking about right now when it comes to affirmation? And that's why there's a whole chapter on the difference between acceptance and affirmation. Most people say, Dr. Lulu, how can I accept my child? And I say to them, first start by accepting yourself and your identity as a parent of a trans child, because therein lies the problem. If you say,
Yeah.
no child of mine, you have not accepted yourself, baby. But it's from the abundance of self acceptance do you now affirm your child with your actions. Affirmation is not something I'm saying, I'm going to affirm you, Renee. No, I'm going to do stuff so that you feel supported, you feel seen, and
Yeah.
you say
In
to
the
me,
action.
I
Hmm.
feel affirmed. You see that? So affirmation is something that is an outward thing, and the person being affirmed is the one that's going to know. You're not going to say, I'm going to go out today, I'm going to affirm 6 people. No. Because what affirms me as a Black immigrant woman with short hair, may not affirm another Black immigrant woman with short hair. Affirming could be for me, someone saying, you're Nigerian, I've always loved Nigerian food. And I'll be like, whoa, that is so cool. That is affirming to me because people may not like Nigerian food. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
affirmation is something that is very different for everyone.
Hmm.
And that's why going back to asking your child, how can I support you? What can I do to make you feel affirmed? That is where the money is. And so I have this thing called CTA. Congratulations. Thank you for telling me about this.
Hmm.
How can I help you? 3 things to say to your child when your child says, Mom, I'm queer, I'm trans, whatever. Because the truth is, when your straight child tells you, Mom, I'm bringing Stevie home, you don't say, I love you. But people think their child saying, I'm
Hmm.
trans or I'm gay or I'm lesbian, you should say, I love you. You should already love your child, bro. Loving your child is not, to me, you don't get an extra brownie point because your child should be loved already. It's baseline. And that's why if you kick your child out, I'm wondering, so was your love conditional? Like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna love you as long as you. This is why I say, I'm not saying don't love your child. I'm not saying don't tell your child I love you. I'm saying tell your
Yeah,
kid
of
I love
course
you
not.
regardless. Because the child shouldn't feel like, gosh, if I tell my mom this, they're going to stop loving me, which is what happens a lot, especially in the Black community. Which is why I say your answer should not be, I love you. Your answer should be, geez, thank you so much for finding me a safe space to share this with. Do you know how long your kid has known this? Probably at the age of 2 or 3 or 4, right? And they're telling you this at 14 because the studies show that it takes 10 to 14 years for most queer kids to even like tell anyone. And the studies also show that there are two peak times where kids are suicidal, when they first find out that this is who they are and when they tell their family members. Suicide is a huge thing, right?
Yeah, for
So
you.
you
Yes.
must guard that information. If your
Hmm.
child says, Mom, please don't tell daddy, don't tell daddy. There's a reason why the child is feeling safe to tell you and not their parent. I mean, I could go on and on with this. Like, I think you
Of
get the point.
course. You are
Yeah.
just incredible. I appreciate all of that. And there's so many gems in what you've said. I go back to when I asked you, right? Like, what do you say, Dr. Lulu? Like, what is that comes to mind? I think when you recentered yourself and said, well, this is who I am, this is what I do, you know what I'm saying? I teach about affirmation, and I help people with that. That's like your goal. And it's telling me, right? Like, this is what I am capable of. This is what I can do, right? Like, I shouldn't go beyond what is my calling or what is my duty. And I think sometimes we get so inundated with the news and this information about the discrimination going on, about the taking away of rights, or we hear stories that aren't affirming. And we say, well, like, can I say the right thing? Can I do this thing for somebody? But sometimes it's not just that. It's actually like listening to the community, listening to your child, particularly from what you said.
Nothing about us without us. I mean, this is it. That is the money right there. Ask your kid.
Of
And another
course. Yeah.
kid might not agree with Dr. Lulu, and that's also okay. I am one of 8 billion people. I don't have all the answers. And I don't even try to
Yeah.
have all the answers. But the reason I decided to start working with physicians is because I said parents right now are inundated with negative energy. I need another place where patients and parents can go and feel seen. They can't go to church, that's for sure, right? But the doctor took a solemn oath to first do no harm. And that's why I came up with my version of that quote. For me, as a member of the queer community, I
Mm-hmm.
came up with first do no further harm. Because 9 times out of 10, the average Black patient is coming with trauma already. Just being Black.
Yeah.
That you toss in immigrants, you toss in queer, you toss in gender diverse, you toss in neurodiverse, you toss in sexual assault. That's why I said earlier that affirming me as a Black queer woman who
Mm-hmm.
happens to be Nigerian is not the same as affirming you as a Black queer woman who is not Nigerian, right? Or even if you are, I'm just giving as an example. I want people to know
Mm-hmm.
that when the patient walks in the door, you need to treat the patient that is in front of you. Same thing with parents. You need to love and affirm the child that you have, not the
Mm-hmm.
one you're thinking, not the one you're assuming, not the one you're expecting, the one you're hoping. A lot of my kid came home one day from Planned Parenthood when I still lived in Texas, because I live in Georgia now. She said, Mom, that's it. I'm done. Very dramatic. I was like, now
Right.
what, princess? She was like, I'm done. I'm just tired. I said, what happened? She said, every time I go to see my provider, they just people can tell when people are side-eyeing you or judging or talking. Even at Planned Parenthood, she said she did not feel affirmed. They treated her as a deviant Black man. And I mentioned that here
Wow.
as a deviant Black man. One, two, they were hyper focused on her genitalia. They were hyper focused on her gender identity. If somebody comes to you with a headache and that person is cisgender, are you going to focus on their gender? No. You're going to focus on their migraine. I want the same for my kid. So this is what I'm trying to teach the doctors. That someone, just because they are transgender, if they're not coming to see you today about their transness, please don't censor their transness. Give them room to
Right.
breathe. They want to comfort their, I don't know, whatever. Stomach pain. Stomach pain. That is affirming. Hello, my name is Dr. Lulu. I go by she, her pronouns, but you can use Mama Beast if you like. What name would you like me to call you? And if you would like to share, maybe your pronouns, right? Giving them autonomy. And if they say, no, I don't want to, that's okay too, right? Because maybe they don't trust you yet. Maybe they trust you, but they don't want to share. Maybe they are still questioning. There's so many things happening. Well, I
Yeah.
can't believe they didn't tell me, but they told Dr. Johnson. You're not Dr. Johnson. There's something about you that makes them not feel afraid. And then again, maybe it's none of your business. Like the patient is coming here for toothache, take care of the tooth. And once you center them as a physician who took an oath, not as a Christian or anything else that you're bringing to the table, just as a doctor and patient, let the patient leave your office feeling better than they came. That's a patient experience. That's a patient journey. And that means every point, right? From your website
Mm-hmm.
to the front, the sign in the front of your office, which one of my clients is something women's health, right? Because they've got women's health in there, now they're thinking about changing their sign because they have trans men who are their patients in the
Yeah.
GYN clinic. And the doctor was like, I see now that they don't feel represented because it says something, women's health, right?
Yeah.
And so again, I want people to see that so the subtle things, and then they come in and then the front nurse is like, Michael? You're Michael? And the person is like, yes, I'm Michael. Okay, that alone is already judged the person. No,
Yeah.
if it was, you know what I mean? Like if it was a cisgender person called Michael, you're not going to say, Michael, you're Michael? Okay. Like, no, you're just going to say Michael, right? So again, it's verbal and nonverbal, right?
Hmm.
And then when they get inside, if Michael says, I go by they, them pronouns, guess what? You're finna use they, them pronouns. And when you report the case to your doctor or whoever is the next person, you're going to say, Michael says, and then when I ask them, they said, right? And then when the doctor comes in, hi, Michael. So my nurse tells me today that we're going to be da 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 da, and that just keep it. Well, by the way, my pronouns are she, her, mama, beast, and thank you so much for sharing your pronouns. It's just something to affirm again. Going back, affirming is outward, right? When Michael
Exactly.
leaves your office, Michael is going to tell everyone that they know about your clinic. So at the end of the day, it affects the bottom line. Here's why. Your patient who is affirmed is a better patient for their own good and for your own good. I'm more likely to listen to you, believe you, trust you, take your medicine, and even come back for follow up. Because when I left that office, I felt like I was seen as a whole person. I am less likely to sue you if I trust you. And you know doctors and litigation, right? I
Hmm.
am more likely to tell all my friends. So the bottom line again goes up for you because I'm going to tell everyone I know, Shaniqua, Bonquisha, Shanae, right? All of us are coming because one person said they loved your office. And then you, as a doctor, you're going to feel fulfilled in your job because we have so much burnout, right? One of the reasons we're burning out is because we don't feel fulfilled anymore. If I come back and say, Dr. Renee, girl, I just love you so much, you're going to have a good day, at least that day, you know? And anytime you feel bad, say, well, at least I know Renee thinks yeah, I don't know, and Dr. Lulu thinks I'm an awesome doctor. These are also protective factors for the physician. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
One of the terms I wanted to also bring up in this discussion, because you've talked a lot about your Black transgender child and about how Black people have made programs or made opportunities to affirm those Black trans children that exist. I think you gave the example of Dwayne Johnson or Dwayne Wade, one of the two.
Dwayne Wade, yeah, Dwayne
Dwayne
Wade.
Wade.
And then there's
So
another football player also who is doing an LGBTQ plus
yeah,
team football team. So I mean,
I
it's happening.
it's happening. What I'm thinking of intersectionality, right? And how intersectionality recognizes the combined factors of economic, societal, and political deprivation that can oppress people of multiple marginalized identities. You mentioned to me earlier in our LinkedIn conversation, because we actually started talking on LinkedIn about TAHPPP, the Affirm Healthcare Professionals Prescription Program, a high impact training initiative created to help healthcare professionals, especially physicians, build safer, more inclusive practices for Black LGBTQIA plus patients. So you've already discussed how important having that rapport between physicians and patients can improve the relationship as patients are coming with their most important healthcare needs. And
Mhm.
whether it ranges from gender affirming care or simply a stomach pain, addressing, right, that particular problem, that particular issue, and not going beyond that can be affirming. Like you said about stomach pain and not making it about anything else, right? And so I wanted to ask you about
I
this
mean, within
program board.
reason, of course. All I'm saying is, whatever you would do for the least of my cisgender brethren when they come to your clinic,
Yeah.
that you do unto my kid. I'm just saying, like, if stomach pain requires a JJ exam or a genital exam, I mean, I'm just saying, I just then genitalia comes in the picture, if that makes sense, as opposed to. So, I mean, are you a he? Are you she? I mean, what are you? That's not what they're there for today, if that makes sense. But I get what you're saying.
And I've heard I've heard from other trans people like their experiences with that too, being questioned about aspects of their body, right? That can be invasive, that's not appropriate. And so I definitely understand what you're saying, what's appropriate
And
for
using
the
the terminology that they use for their body parts. I use vajayjay for my vajayjay. Someone else may not. And so just asking, truly, you
Yeah.
can't go wrong if you ask someone, how would you like me to address, to what do you use? What term do you use for this part of your body? And just
Yes.
let the person just tell you. You cannot go wrong because they're going to say, well, I can't believe they just assumed. And you don't ever want someone to say that you assumed you made it. And that's where the bias comes in, right? You assume that I'm sleeping with a man. So you ask me about penetrative sex as an example. Maybe I don't sleep with men,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or maybe the kind of sex I have is not penetrative, even if I sleep with men. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, asking people, well, what, how, using those what, how, not quite why. I feel like why is a little, this is just me personally. I think why is a little in your face, but how and what are open ended. How would you like me to address you when it comes to your private parts or your genitals, or if it's relevant to the visit? What kinds of sexual relations do you have? What kind of people do you have? Leaving it open. So I'll say, you know what? I appreciate that because I'm actually pansexual and I have sex with every kind of people. I mean, or sexual relations. I just want people to be aware. So one of the things I'm doing is not so much affirmation, like how to affirm them, but the one before that is self-awareness, awareness that you don't know
Hmm.
what you don't know and that what you don't know is hurting your patients. It took ChatGPT 4 tries to get me to understand that because I was like, well, what do you mean that what they don't know? And then finally Chat was like, if they don't know that I don't have sexual relationships with men or people with penises, and we want to go that far, right? If the doctor
Right.
doesn't know that and doesn't ask me that, then there's a deficit and that's what will hurt. And I was like, oh. So if I had to learn that, everybody can learn it. We didn't learn this in medical. And I know I didn't learn this in medical school in the 80s. I went to medical school in the 80s. I finished medical school in 91. That's a long time ago. Nobody was talking about this. And so there are other doctors like me, and we're all taking care of patients. So half of it is just really just educating, like my ex-wife would say, just educating folks about what they actually need to know.
Hmm.
Many people don't know that they, them, theirs is a pronoun that has been going on forever. And I tell them, I said, if you walked in and you saw this on the table, you would say, ooh, someone left their fan. Ooh, that's someone, and that's there, right? We've
Right.
used they, them all the time. Someone left their bottle of water, right? Someone left their mouse. So now I tell you, okay, so I use they, them now. Oh, it's a problem. It's like, what do you want from people? Like,
Yeah.
anyway.
The fan was unexpected, but love it.
Yeah, 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 honey. We
What is
don't.
that? Listen, listen, girl, that just came out of nowhere, child. I
Oh my
just
God.
love the energy, right? And what you're saying about this training, right, is it's not even just about like affirmation. It's more than that. And I do think that these efforts that you're part of are impactful in so many areas. One of the aspects that I wanted to touch on was allyship too, because people listening in may not have that relationship with their child yet, may not have that relationship with their loved one, or may know someone and want to better understand how to support that LGBT person in their life. So, cultivating that relationship obviously requires understanding and knowledge about the queer community. But more than that, it just requires seeing somebody as human, right? Because if someone
Yeah,
sees me as, on the street, right, they might see me and say, oh, that person is trans. But beyond that, there's more to me than just what is seen. Like, do you
that's right.
know my spirit, right? Or do you know my essence? you know, um, I think that goes to pronouns in a sense too. When people misgender other people, I was watching something the other day, and someone explained it like really, really well. Sometimes social media drops gems, and I'm like, oh wow, like when you see someone, you might think like this is what they physically appear as. But as someone tells you who they are, they're telling you the essence of who they are, how they see themselves. And if you can't see beyond that, then I think you're limiting yourself in your connection with others. So
Mhm.
beyond that, I want to get back to the term of allyship. In
Mhm.
your mind, what attributes define an ally based on your experience? Just simple words to describe an ally.
So my definition of an ally, which I've used for years now, is someone who sees your fight, fights for you, and
Mhm.
fights with you. That's my definition of an ally. Very simple, and I mentioned that in my book. An ally is someone who sees your fight, fights for you, and fights
Mhm.
with you, which means when I'm not there, they're fighting for me. And when I'm fighting, they're fighting with me. That's my definition because it's a fight in my brain, right?
Yeah.
And allyship also, I want to go somewhere where I went maybe a week and a half ago when I was talking to a room filled with trans people. I said, I need y'all to also be self-allies. Like literally, I was talking to it was about self-care. And I said, the truth is there's some people left that are good on earth. So some people will also treat you how you treat yourself because they just don't know, right? You are the one telling people. And if you start, it's something I learned when I moved to America in 94. Americans say, oh, you know me, I'm stupid, or never mind me, I'm crazy, or, using self-derogatory. I was like, why are you saying that about yourself? Like,
About yourself.
what's wrong with
Yeah.
you? And then I realized there's a lot of years of trauma. And then we just assume that we're just not good enough. And hence the term imposter syndrome. I mean, it's like, if you radically love yourself, then from the abundance of that, you care for yourself. So I talk about self-care as self-love in action, right?
Mm.
That to me is self-allyship. Owning your own self no matter what. I do understand that, even as a queer woman, I mean, everything is about safety. Like, it's not everyone that I tell. I mean, I told a would-be client one time that I was married to, and they're like something about my ex. I said something about an ex-wife.
Mhm.
And then the next thing she said, you know what? I just don't think I would like you to coach me. And I was like, just to tell me more. And then I said, well, here's the thing. If I was married to a man and I said my ex-husband, would you call me the next day and say, I don't think I want you to coach me? And then she said, no, just like my religion. I said, I know, but what's the first thing that Jesus said in the said religion? Love everyone, like without any kind of condition. So anyway,
Right.
I gave her back her money, wished her well. And then I convinced myself that from now on, I'm always going to talk about my ex-wife because I don't want someone's
Period.
money if they're not, or my ex. I'm just saying, I'm not going to like not talk about that aspect of me so I
Yeah.
can get your money. You're not my client. It's a very simple thing.
Yeah.
If you have problems with the fact that I'm queer, you're not my client because my first thing, and this person was not coming to me as a coach for queer folks. They were coming to me because they wanted help with how they were going to take care of their adopted grandkids because I'm a general life coach as well, right? And they were just overwhelmed, time management, all the things. And I was like, well, if no, truly, I mean, I'm so happy that they call back and say they want their money back. That also helped me realize that I am also doing this for the right reasons, not just give me your money, because how much money is enough money, right? But I want the right client who would take the right decisions, knowing all of me, all of who I am. I don't want you to start with me because you think I'm a different kind of person. We don't
Mm.
want that. So anyway, I don't know if that answered your question, but for me, an ally is definitely someone who sees someone else's fight, fights for them and fights with them. And that
It
means you
did.
have to also sometimes be your own self-ally, meaning I'm not going to hire this client because at the end of the day, it's not going to be good for me. So I am not going to. So being my own self-ally was what came up that day. And then you cannot be an ally without the two words empathy and even more importantly, compassion, right? Compassion is empathy plus how can I help you? And so I talk
Mhm.
about that all the time, how even though Brene Brown made the word empathy popular, the word empathy is actually not mentioned in the Bible for those people who read the Bible, but compassion is mentioned 32 times. Why? Because compassion is what you need actually to be able to help someone else. It's
Yeah.
first self-compassion and then also compassion for someone, which is why we use the term compassionate care now, right? And we don't talk
Mhm.
about empathic care, we say compassionate care. But you still need empathy. But then how can I help this person is now compassion. He said it's the action part of empathy. Just like self-care is the action part of self-love. Just like gender expression is the action parts of gender identity. And so I talk about that. I said, gender expression is to gender identity what self-care is to self-love. So it's important that people put that together because I can know that I am gender queer all I want, right? And I don't tell anyone. Once I act on it, people become aware. So it's the outward visible sign is gender expression, either my clothing or my haircut or my pronouns or I mean something. However, I show people what my internal gender
Mhm.
identity is what I mean by the action part. So once I put, so that's the thing, I sit and I think about my work, right? So once I put that together, I was like, thank you, because I needed that to help it break down to people. So where can you fit in? Are you going to be compassionate? Are you going to judge me? Are you going to judge yourself? I mean, like, where are we going here? To become an ally, you need compassion.
You need
And so
compassion.
that's my answer to the question.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really love that definition. Compassion is super, super vital. And in addition to empathy, right? In addition to being able to sit yourself in someone else's place to
Hmm.
actually feel what they are feeling. And
Yes,
so,
and that's exact. So empathy is I see you, I hear you, I feel you. Compassion is I see you, I hear you, I feel you. How can I help? What? Let me tell you, when you ask someone, how can I
wow.
help? That is the money. That is the money. Otherwise, what? Oh, well, you know what? I see you. I hear you. I feel you. Have a good day. Okay. Then what have you done? So anyway, I say that and I laugh about it, but it's very serious, right? People need compassion. You have to be able to say, I feel for you and how can I help your burden be lighter? What can I do to make things easier for you? And I find that when I was suicidal, my ex-wife was one that got me out of there. She said to me, how can I help? What can I do? And I said, I want to go to the zoo. And then we took a trip to the zoo because that part of the zoo was like an outdoor zoo and I love the outdoors. And I just needed to get out. And all she did was she was just present for me. She didn't do anything because it was a fight. It was me versus me. Suicidal ideations is usually me versus me. It's when the negative thoughts overcome
Hmm.
the positive thoughts. So I have a part, my first TED talk is about that, right? So I've been thinking about this. I think about it a lot. Like, how can I make the words such that people can understand in the barest minimum way what I'm trying to say to them? You don't have to be suicidal to know that someone who is suicidal, if you say the right thing, it's going to change the whole world. And if you say the wrong thing, it can also, right? And so how do you know? Ask the person, like literally talk about it. Talking about suicide doesn't make somebody suicidal, it doesn't make them more suicidal. And I talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
But people are afraid to bring it up. Oh my God, my child is suicidal. You want to ask them, what can I do to help, right? It's like,
Right.
I don't know. I just love the word compassion so much. It's like my favorite word.
Me too. We are a little bit past 2 o'clock. You're on Eastern time, on
Oh,
Central time. So I know that
yeah.
we probably should close at this time. I wanted to just leave a little bit of room if you have time just to plug in any other upcoming involvements or commitments that you wanted to promote and mention.
Oh, thank you. So I live in Atlanta, Georgia now. I live in Buckhead, which is it's a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia, or part of Atlanta,
All right,
Greater.
I'm from the A,
Really?
A, A.
Really? I did not know that. That's
I
so
was born and
cool.
I was raised in Douglasville. I wasn't born in Georgia, but I was raised
Yeah,
around Atlanta.
my mom's doctor is in Douglasville. We just went there
Yep.
last week.
Uh-huh. I'm
Yes.
about to be there in 3 weeks.
Oh wow! Well, let me know if I'm in town. Let's meet and have like I
I
don't know
would
a drink
love
or something.
that. I would
That'll be
love that.
fantastic. I could come pick you up. We can meet halfway because Douglasville is a good was about 37 minutes drive from me that day. But I mean, obviously it's with traffic. But just let me know if you're in town. And that's a good segue because I was going to say I'm beginning the 14th of May.
Hmm.
I don't even think I'm going to be home until like the end of June. Like literally, I
Wow.
go for my goddaughter who got into John Hopkins for her residency. And
Wow.
then I'm doing a virtual talk in New Jersey, but don't tell them, they don't know that I'm not going to come. They think I'm going to be there because my co-panelist is going to be there. And they're going to zoom me in. We're going to have a
Okay.
conversation about polyamory in the Black community, which I'm so excited because I'm poly curious. And then
Hmm.
I'm going to go straight to DC Black Pride, where I'm doing two talks. And then I'm going to go to Cleveland do a grand round at the medical school there. Then I'm going to go from Cleveland straight to San Francisco, to the Bay Area, for the National Transgender
I'll be
Medical
there.
Summit. Very good. So we're going to be there. I'm going to be doing three things, I think. And one of them I'm really proud of is a plenary. I'm going to be moderating the panel about the state of trans youth health, which I'm just so proud of. They wanted me and my kid to come, but I told them, I said, my kid is protected. That's protected.
Okay.
So I got another trans kid that I'm kind of like adopted, and she's, I think, 19, so she's going to come. And if I knew about you, because I said, wait, what's going on here? We have people like me. I'm not about to moderate a panel about trans kids, and I don't have people like
Well,
me.
hold on. I mean, I'll be there, so we can chat about it.
Yeah, I think they wanted young adults, like teenagers and young adults. But like I said, now that
Hmm.
I know that I know that you're going to be there already, because there's also an honorarium, right? But I already contacted my adopted trans daughter. She's like 19. And so I told her, I
Yeah.
said, would you like to make a little money? She was like, Mama Bird. I said, yes, baby bird. So she's gonna be there. And I'll see if I can make something happen for you. Why not? And then I'm gonna come back to DC for World Pride, Global World Pride, where I'm going to be speaking at the Human Rights Conference. I'm doing something about trans kids and protecting Black trans kids or something. So that's for that. And then after that, I'm speaking at a church. I mean, I'm just so excited about the fact that my voice is now like people are asking for my voice, and I have some smaller things I'm doing at certain churches here and there, smaller ones, but the big ones are
Yeah.
those ones that I mentioned to you. So. And definitely the medical schools. Oh my God, yes.
That's incredible. Good luck with everything. Good luck with all of
Okay.
that. Really appreciate your time today. And I am going to end the recording now. Thank you all for listening and listen in for the outro speech. It has been such a pleasure having Dr. Lulu share her incredible Mama Beast wisdom and compassion with us. Of the takeaways that were most impactful for me to hear, it's important to recognize the two times that transgender youth are most suicidal: when they first realize their identity and when they tell family members. We are living in a time of intense scrutiny of freedom of identity and expression for our transgender youth who have been told to hide who they are, wait before making any social or medical changes, and potentially ostracized for pursuing these changes. Dr. Lulu's commitment to her child as a parent, even starting the Moms for Trans Kids podcast, shows her unwavering support for transgender youth. It clearly took her time to arrive to this point, even stating she had some moments of showing confusion, doubt, or microaggression. Hearing the lessons she learned accepting her child's identity is such a powerful message from the parental perspective. Another fact to mention is that it can take queer youth a significant number of years to decide to tell family or friends about their identity. This can hold true even in the most supportive and non-judgmental environments. Allyship rooted in understanding, compassion, and empathy means meeting that person where they are in their journey of self-discovery. Remember that we are all doing the best we can. If you're showing up for the person who is being vulnerable about their sexuality and or gender identity, simply listening and asking them what they need can be enough. Thank you for listening in. If you'd like to hear more from Dr. Lulu, visit her Instagram at Dr. Lulu Talk Radio or find her on the website dr-lulu.com. She offers consulting to other parents looking to affirm their transgender child, in addition to trainings for healthcare professionals on ways to improve their interactions with queer patients. If you're in the market for an LGBTQ plus affirming provider, please visit the lgbtqhealthcaredirectory.org to find a welcoming provider or facility near you. And if you want to hear more content, watch clips of our conversation or keep up with the show. Let's push the conversation more on Instagram at Equerity Podcast or on TikTok at BEQ Pod. Full video podcast episodes are posted on YouTube, which is also linked in bio, or you can type the Equerity Podcast in the search bar. If you liked what you heard today, please give the show a quick star rating, follow, and or subscribe on your preferred listening platform. Take care and see you in the next episode.